our guest here in the studio. Our guest in the studio. She will transport us back there.
Oh my gosh! And let's welcome, of course, our special guest tonight, or today. Let's welcome Dr. Barbara Sasser to Howdy Philippines. How are you, Barbara?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Howdy.
Howdy to you.
And I know that you'll talk about the bond between the Philippines and the Jewish people.
Very special bond, yes.
Special bond. Wow, I love that. So welcome, and I'm so excited to know more. So, but before that, we want to know more about you. Can you tell us, please, about yourself?
Sure. Well, I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's where my story begins. That's where the story I'm going to talk about begins. But I got to Texas as soon as I could. I've been here about 40 years. I live in Galveston.
40?
40 years.
Wow, 40 years.
I got my PhD in biochemistry at the University of Texas Medical Branch. And I've lived there and raised my children. I play a lot of tennis.
Wow.
I do a lot of community volunteer work. And I made a documentary film.
Good for you, Dr. Sasser.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question here though. What has the California Board of Education done recently that is related to Bataan?
Yes, I know y'all are focusing on Bataan this week. The California Board of Education has just mandated that the history of the Philippines in World War II be included in the U.S. history curriculum throughout the state. So that's a wonderful addition, and I think well-deserved, and the Philippines has done a lot for the United States, and unfortunately doesn't get the recognition it deserves.
But how does your documentary relate to the Bataan March?
Well, the people that left, the Jews that left Germany and went to the Philippines were in the Philippines during the Bataan March. And so in our documentary, there is a survivor, a refugee, who recalls witnessing American and Filipino soldiers being marched through the streets with Japanese guards on either side. And it was just a horrible thing.
I heard it's like 18,000 people died.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. Oh my goodness.
Well, I want to hear more. Can you give us like just a short summary of your documentary?
Sure, I can do that. As I said, I'm from Cincinnati, as was my grandfather and his brothers, who were in the cigar business. They distributed cigars throughout the United States. And a very large market share of their business were Filipino cigars. So in
Filipino cigars?
Filipino cigars,
There's
2 for a nickel
there.
cigars that they would buy and distribute them throughout the United States. Very popular at that time.
So there's really a bond
Between Cincinnati
between Cincinnati and the Philippines.
I didn't even know that. See, I'm
I
learning
didn't
a
know
lot
that.
already.
When was this documentary made?
Well, if I may finish about the story. In 1920,
Wow.
my grandfather and his brothers went to the Philippines, established a manufacturing plant there, and made the cigars and then sent them back. So there were Frieder family members, that's my grandfather's name, Alex Frieder, and his brothers. There was a Frieder member in the Philippines between 1920 and 1940. And so they got to know the military people that were there. Eisenhower and MacArthur were friends. They got to know Manuel Quezon, who became president. And so when the Jews in Europe were in trouble in the late 1930s with Nazism rising to power and their lives were in danger, my grandfather asked President Quezon, then President Quezon, and the High Commissioner Paul McNutt if they would be willing to let the Jews in. And Quezon said yes, and McNutt said, I will get them American visas. And it's my family's role to get the Jews, find the Jews and bring them and house them and feed them, etc.
So Manuel Quezon really helped the Jews.
Oh, he did. He did.
Wow.
He is a hero of the story,
He is.
for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were able to save 1,300 Jewish lives that came from Nazi-occupied territory to the Philippines.
So what made you decide to do this documentary? What inspired you to do this documentary?
What inspired me to do the documentary really came originally from a book written by Frank Ephraim, who was 8 years old when he left Germany with his family and went to the Philippines. And after the war, he came back to the United States, just as most of the refugees did. But he kept in touch with his friends and he wrote the book. And then I thought, well, not everybody reads books. Other
Especially
people
now.
watch movies.
Yes.
So I thought this story with 1,300 Jews was as many Jews' lives saved as Schindler's List, and everybody saw Schindler's List.
I did,
This story deserved a movie as well as that one, so that was my inspiration.
So what are your goals for the documentary or the story? For the film, you have the film, right?
I do. I have a copy of the film with me.
The
It's called Rescue in the Philippines, Refuge from the Holocaust. And my goals for the film are primarily to have the Philippines get the recognition it deserves for being willing to accept Jews when so many other countries did not.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. President Quezon gets all kinds of honor and should get recognition for that. I would like it to be taught in schools. I would like it to be on international television. It has been on television in the United States, over 2,000 airings on public television. It's been on TV in the Philippines, CNN Philippines. We just have a new contract with Poland. It'll be on in Poland.
Poland.
But I'd like a few more countries. And then, yes, and I have, we've written a school curriculum, an education guide.
Rescue in the Philippines.
Yes, for teachers, there are lesson plans already in there. It's designed for grades 7 and up. We have a abbreviated film, 30-minute film that goes in this packet, and it's available to anyone who would contact the Holocaust Center in Cincinnati. We still have a tie to Cincinnati.
Tell me, how was it received by the public, though?
Well, it's received very well by the public because it is such a unique Holocaust rescue story, and it's largely unknown. Who would ever thought of the Philippines being involved in saving Jews' lives? It's just so far away geographically, and all the attention is at Europe. The Pacific theater, unfortunately, doesn't get the recognition it deserves either.
Well, I'm just curious, do you know any specific numbers? How many Jewish that stayed in the Philippines during that time?
Well, again, by the height of, well, by 1941, there were 1,300 Jews in the Philippines. In 1920, when my family arrived, there were maybe 50 families, is all.
50 families.
50 families, and so it grew during this special time in history. After the war was over and other locations were opened up to these Jewish refugees, many of them came to the United States. Some stayed in the Philippines. Some became Filipino citizens.
Really?
Yes, I know of two
That is so
couples that became Filipino citizens and stayed and died and were buried there and raised their families there. But most of them went to England or Palestine, now Israel. Some went to Australia. And I know of one that went back to Germany.
So it takes a lot of time. How did you gather everything? It takes extensive research.
That's right.
It does. It took about 2.5 years from the time I chose a director to the time we were on television in the United States. Something I worked on every day. And well, the book was a very good way to find refugees. I wasn't the first one that collected these people's names or addresses, so I just called them up and asked them if they would be willing to be part of the documentary. We would go to where they were, or we would ask them to come to us. And I did research at, there's an organization that helped fund the support of the refugees. It's called the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee. It's in New York, and they kept extensive records. And so we have letters from Quezon, we have letters from McNutt, we have names of people as they got They're applied for a visa. They were accepted for a visa.
They're all authentic.
We were able to follow those names, and I was able to meet those people.
Oh.
Jeez, how cool.
But like, have you ever interviewed a lot of survivors?
Yes, we interviewed 18 survivors for the documentary.
And were they all in your movie, the CD?
Well, not all 18 are in the movie.
That's a lot of work, I know.
It's only an hour long. We have 40 hours of film, and could put 1 hour in the documentary, so unfortunately.
Well, you mentioned about President Quezon. Can we talk a little bit more about
I'd love
President
to.
Quezon? I mean, our very first Commonwealth president.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm very proud of him.
Uh-huh.
He's the father of our language.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, President Quezon, I'd like to express 3 aspects of his character that impressed me so much. One is a quote that he said he didn't understand. Okay, he was a good Catholic, and he did not understand anyone who felt bad. The most unreligious thing he could think of was to think badly of the people that gave them their Savior. Sweet.
That's sweet.
That's very sweet.
The second impressive thing was he had a lot of Jewish people around him. He had a Jewish physician. He had Jewish friends prior to this point in history. But one of the refugees was a good friend of his son's. And they went to the same school. And so, in fact, this refugee was his son's best friend. And so every weekend, a chauffeured limousine would go pick up the refugee from the small place that he lived in and take him to Malacanang Palace to spend the weekend with his son.
How cool is that? Yeah.
And you know, Quezon would not have allowed that if he felt anything negative towards the Jews at all.
Yeah.
And lastly, he donated part of his land so that the Jews could settle there and farm that property as a way for them to survive.
Well, I'm just curious. During the Japanese occupation,
Well, that's a good question.
I know. What happened to the Jews?
In the
It's
yeah.
so ironic what happened to the
Yeah.
Jews during the Japanese occupation. They had to leave Germany because they were in fear of their lives.
Right.
And yet, in the Philippines, when the Japanese invaded, they looked at the passports and saw that they were German passports. The passports had a J on them, denoting Jews. But the Japanese did not recognize that symbol, and they didn't accept the anti-Semitic ways of the Germans. And so, although the Japanese interned a lot of people during their occupation, they were all from enemy countries: Americans, British, Australians. But the Jewish German refugees were considered allies, and they were allowed to stay in their homes.
But you know, it's really sad because you know they fled from the Holocaust and then they came face to face with the Japanese.
They did have to experience Japanese occupation, which was not pleasant.
It's really not pleasant even for our Filipino people.
That's right. It wasn't good for anyone.
Yeah.
Was that going to be on your? Is that going to be on your?
Is it part of the
movies
film?
Also, on the movie also?
Oh yes. That aspect is in the film
I
for
should
sure.
have that.
Yeah, we gotta watch it, Shireen. Yeah, maybe after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go do it. Seriously.
It's only an hour.
It's only an hour, yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about like interviewing the people, like how do they feel about what happened?
Well, they
sure they got
love telling the
emotional.
story.
Yeah.
It is very emotional for them, but they love telling the story because it's so different from most Holocaust survivor experiences. And it's not recognized, it's not known, and they want to get that story out.
So how's this film different from the Holocaust thing? This is very different for sure.
This is a different Holocaust rescue story because most of the stories that are known took place in Germany, like an individual would secretly hide Jews at great risk to their lives. Those people should be honored. This story is above board. It includes 2 countries. It includes the Philippines, well, 3 countries. It's intercontinental. The Jews had to come from Europe to the Philippines. You had to have the expressed support of the Philippine government and tacit support of the American government. And so, and it was legal, it was above board, and it was endorsed by different countries.
Well, I can't wait to see it. You said it's only for 1 hour, right? You should have done it for 2 hours like a regular movie.
Yeah.
But what is the future of this documentary?
What do you think is the future of this documentary?
Mostly I would like the future of the documentary to be that the Philippine people learn this story and that they're proud of their country
And very
at that
proud.
time. I want people in the United States to know about it, so we'd like it taught in schools. And I want it to inspire people anywhere they are in their own lives.
Correct.
That the Frieders and McNutt, Quezon, and the other people involved all stood up and took action during a time when so many people did not. They just were bystanders. And I want people to be upstanders, and I want them to take action at whatever aspect of discrimination they see happening in their lives.
It's really good. You know what? I'm so grateful for you and for what you do, because you know
We're
what?
getting emotional now.
Yes,
Sherry.
because like, even if like I was in the Philippines, I was taught there ever since like first grade, we're taught history. But we never knew that there are a lot of Jewish.
Oh, me too. I'm guilty.
I knew about Manuel Quezon as the father of our language, but I didn't know that he helped a lot of Jews there in the Philippines.
He was a great man.
He's a great man. Yeah, I really love him. Thank you so much.
Well, just like what I said, let's go watch it. Are you starting to have teary eyes now? Look at her eyes.
yeah, because I'm just so
Start
proud.
crying.
I'm just so proud of my Philippines.
Uh-huh.
You know, yeah.
Well, we want to watch it, but what about our viewers? Can you tell our viewers how can they get hold of, if they want to go purchase or buy the movie or read the book?
Yes, we have lots of ways to see the film. We have a website, rescueinthephilippines.com. And on that website, there's an opportunity to download it and just watch it on your computer, rent it or buy it, or you can order a DVD. Either way. We're also on Amazon Prime, so that's a very easy way to get the
I
film.
love Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So how can someone get in touch with you if they want to?
Also, yes. Also on the website, there's a contact us page.
Oh, okay.
And that email will come directly to me.
Awesome.
Wow, directly to you. You have a lot of work, Miss Dr. Barbara.
Well, I would like more work. Have them
See,
write. Have
being
them call.
busy is good. See, yeah, babe, I'm busy, so I know how it feels. If I'm not busy, I'm bored. Like, I want to be busy. I want to be active. So I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do.
So you know what? Like, again, we can watch it and buy some of those like film in Amazon, and then your website once again. What's your website?
rescueinthephilippines.com.
Yes. I can't wait to go to the website.
You can't buy it on Amazon. Unfortunately, you can't buy it on Amazon, but you can buy it on the website. So
On the website.
That's the
Let's
best
go
place.
make a movie night. How is that? You and me.
Yes.
Let's go have a movie
Yes.
night with a popcorn with us.
I want history. I want really want history.
Yeah, we'll make it a movie night and like the same like lesson. We learn something, not just a regular movie.
You know,
Like,
she's a doctor. She researched a lot and came to this documentary that the Filipinos, making the Filipinos so proud of what Manuel L. Quezon did to the Jews in the Philippines. And I love it. I really love it. So I recommend it to all our kababayans out there who are watching. Please do have a copy of The Rescue in the Philippines. There's an educational guide. There's a film, an hour film, just an hour, and you will really learn a lot, mga kababayans. And thank you so much, Dr. Barbara Sasser.
You're welcome.
You're a
Thank
great
you.
help.
so much,
Especially
really.
for me, like the young generation like me, like I didn't know anything about that.
well, especially me. I was born in Bataan.
But you don't know.
I don't know anything about it.
I'd like to let your viewers know one important fact.
Okay, go ahead.
We screened the film at Malacanang Palace with President Aquino in attendance
Oh,
and lots of ambassadors and things like that. It was very, very exciting.
So what an experience, right? I'm sure it was
Very.
a great experience.
it's a great
for you.
experience, especially that you filmed it in Malacanang
With our former
with our
president.
former president. Wow, thank you. You know what? mabuhay. When I say mabuhay, yes.
That's right.
Thank you, Dr. Sasser. And kababayans, please support Rescue in the Philippines and buy the DVD, a must-see. Well, Dr. Sasser, you're a great help and a great doctor.
And a teacher.
A teacher. Thank you for the lesson for today. You're a teacher now. Wow, thank you so much. Also, mga kababayans, please remember, we're here to support you. Let us help you reach out to our hundreds of thousands of viewers and fans across the world. Let us know if you have an event, fundraiser, gathering, or something going on. Please let us know and we'll include it in our community roundup.
And also, if you have an interesting story or know someone you think is interesting to be featured, please contact us at PinoyUsunTV.com or on any of our social media sites. We also have internship opportunities available, especially for contributors, segment producers, and marketing associates. After Howdy Philippines, don't forget to catch History with Lords, Chismis Noon, History Ngayon, or Gossip Before and History Now in Kaya.
Yes, I would like to thank also Miss Jacqueline Smaug of Tutu Cute. And please don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, visit our website, PinoyUsunTV.com, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Please join us again, same time next week as we keep bringing people together.
Texas, America, join us in saying,
Howdy, Philippines! See y'all next week!